John joining us from.
I'm with Stanley. All the way, baby. All the way on Stanley's point.
So you think Pop's overrated?
No, I'm just kidding. I mean, he is a heck of a coach. But sometimes in situations like this, guys also develop on their own. The greatness can come from within, and the coach can draw it out of them. There's something about Kawhi Leonard in his ascendance of his career that was equal parts him and obviously equal parts Pop. But I give credit to Pop for making him the great player that he is. But, man, you still have to have tremendous talent to be a very good basketball team these days. You really do.
No question. John Telich, Fox 8 in Cleveland, joining us as we get ready for the Cavaliers and Boston. So I posed this question to Stan yesterday, John, and I'm interested in your response. Is there more pressure on LeBron to get the Cavs to the finals this year because Boston is a wounded Boston without, of course, they haven't had Hayward all year, but without Kyrie? Or is it there actually less pressure? There would be more pressure on him if Kyrie were playing, that this is the guy that left you at the altar, so to speak, wanted to get out from under your shadow. Would it be more pressure on LeBron to beat a Kyrie-led Boston or this Boston team that doesn't have him?
Well, I think it's probably more pressure on him now to prove that he doesn't need a Robin per se in the strictest sense of the Robin word, Batman and Robin, to go to the finals. So I'd say maybe a little bit more pressure this year. And, obviously the circumstances are so much different. You have a team that's barely been together. It's changed over a couple of times so far. It had a very difficult first matchup in the playoffs and then kind of found itself. For other factors that there were LeBron factors involved, and then there were factors like Kevin Love being more assertive offensively, defensively. There were factors like George Hill being healthy and taking a little bit of the burden off of LeBron. So equal parts, guys, as far as the pressure. It seems like nothing, affects this guy. He's just chilling, enjoying himself, and playing some incredible basketball, the likes of which we've seen very, very, very few times in history. What
we saw from the Cavs in the Toronto series and sweeping away the number one seed and ultimately costing Dwayne Casey his job.
Yeah.
They obviously, the Indiana series was incredibly difficult. The Toronto series was not. So which Cavs team is it, John? Do you think it was just a matchup thing that for whatever reason Indiana was tougher for them to deal with? Or as you said, did they find something in the Toronto series that is going to carry over, and maybe the Boston series can be one that they can handle as well?
I think it was a tougher matchup in the first series. The bigs that gave Kevin Love all kinds of problems. Also, people like Korver not really shooting that well except for a few instances. The young kids not ready to kind of assume any kind of minutes in the playoffs, although they thought they were, they just aren't ready for it. And Ty Lue kind of sharpening, his axe a little bit because he went with a bigger rotation in Series 1, a little bit more defined in Series 2, and now he said today, he'll go a 9-man rotation against the Celtics. And so I think it was equal parts. They really did appreciate the fact that they went through a very difficult first-round series. It made that second round go better for them, and then the guys are starting to gel. There's a little bit more chemistry now, and that's obviously what you need when you're playing in May and June.
Visiting with John Telich, Fox 8, Cavaliers right here on 105.7 The Zone. Sunday afternoon, open the Eastern Conference Finals, 3:30 tip-off as they will be taking on the Boston Celtics, second year in a row. So ironic, these two teams are so different. Last year, Kyrie was on the Cavs. This year, he's not on the Celtics, but not on the Celtics. It is a rematch, John, but it's really two different kind of teams, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, because 1 year ago, when you had Kyrie out there on the floor with LeBron, you knew that, he's one of the few people in the world that can just go get his. He can just create off of the dribble. He's got an incredible handle. He can score pretty much at will. And there have been games in the playoffs in the past where maybe LeBron wasn't feeling it as much or was facilitating more, and then Kyrie would just say, hey, settle down, big fella. I'm going to take care of it for a while. You don't have anybody on this roster that can do that, which you had a year ago from Kyrie. But I just think what's happening with this team right now for the Cavaliers is, and it's going to be a big factor, is how Kevin Love plays in the series. I really think he's going to be kind of like, he'll be the thermometer that you take out and you get its temperature to see how the Cavs are. If he is not bothered as much by the matchup with like an Al Horford, or if LeBron is getting bodied too much by Marcus Morris and is able to facilitate other guys on the team, then I think you're going to see the Cavs playing very, very well. But I really think this series goes down to how well Kevin Love plays. Now, his last 3 games in this previous series were spectacular. He was assertive on both ends of the floor. He was Kevin Love of Minnesota, is what he was.
Yep.
And so I think they need Kevin Love of Minnesota once again to do the same stuff in the TD Garden.
Yeah, John, I mentioned yesterday, if Kevin Love wins the Kevin Love-Al Horford matchup, I don't see how Boston can beat him. You know, and that is assuming that LeBron is LeBron. You know, if LeBron is LeBron, they have no one that can match him. And if Kevin Love does what I agree with you, I think he's one of the key factors in the game. And also, you mentioned the 9-man rotation. Those guys off of the bench, if they can just give you something, that would be big. I am curious, is Rodney Hood part of the 9-man rotation now?
Nothing was disclosed to that effect today, and I think he's obviously man on the bubble as far as that is concerned. You could name the 9 guys, and you could make a case for him not being one of those. And again, they're not tipping their hand as to how that will be. But I agree with you, and I think we're both kind of consensusly talking about Kevin Love. If he has a strong series, LeBron will not be phased one bit playing in Boston. I think you may have seen the stat. There's something like LeBron's played more games in that building in the playoffs than like 9 of the guys on the roster of the current roster of the Boston Celtics himself. And so that's just a ridiculous figure when you come down to it. This guy has that much of a familiarity with that place. Korver had a great sound bite today from practice saying about, when you're in that building and you're up by 10, let's say, and all of a sudden they score 2 quick buckets, they're still down 6, but the way the crowd reacts and the momentum shifts as far as being in that building, you almost get the sense of like, oh boy, here they come. And you almost feel like you're behind already, even though you're still up by 6. So, they've got guys that are tested in the playoffs, JR, Tristan, and Korver and Love and LeBron. So they've been through this rodeo before. I would think this thing goes 6 or less. I'm not that great at prognosticating these things, but I would say it goes 6 or less. Cavs heading to the finals.
I know that the players, they don't care. I mean, they're going out there. Yeah. They want to win no matter who's in front of them and what situation is presented. But is some of the luster, I don't know, fan-wise, taking off of this series because Kyrie's out?
Yeah, it would have been great to see a loaded Boston team with Gordon in there as well, and also Kyrie. Boy, I tell you what, I listened to the interview that Bill Simmons did on his podcast with Griff. I don't know if you guys heard it. It really gave some insight as to why Kyrie is Kyrie and why he is at this part of the evolution of him being, kind of like the alpha male, the ascending basketball superstar in this league. And I just thought it was kind of interesting, and would have been so cool to see he as Batman against LeBron's Batman in a series head-to-head. It would have been just so, and I don't think we're going to get a chance to see that in the future because there's just no guarantee with LeBron next year here or anywhere. And I don't even know what Boston does going forward. You realize how many guys are going to have to get paid on that team?
I know.
Eventually? What are they going to do to keep that thing together? It's going to be kind of tough.
Exactly. I mean, Kyrie's only got 1 year left on his deal. I mean, they got to with his knee situation, I mean, they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals without him. You almost wonder if they think about what to do.
I told you yesterday what they should do, Matt.
Package him in a trade
with him and Gordon, and get Anthony Davis.
Gordon,
there you go.
How about that? That would be fun.
Go. I mean, you've got Jason Tatum. This kid's had 7 straight playoff games of 20 plus. and then Jaylen Brown, and
Yep.
and how about Scary Terry Rozier from Cleveland, Ohio?
He's
I
been
love this
tremendous.
kid. And,
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
It's amazing.
They are amazing. Hey, John, thanks so much. We appreciate the time. Enjoy this series. It should be a fun one.
Okay, thanks, guys. Have a good weekend.